From the Joy News Center. This is News at 8.
Time news bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, former Deputy Energy Minister K.T. Hammond makes emotional appearance before Judgment Day Commission with documents he says will clear his name in the case of the missing $3.5 million from the GNPC drill ship sale. Pharmaceutical company Tobinko questions the closure of its warehouses by Economic and Organized Crime Office in the latest phase in its standoff with the Food and Drugs Authority. Center for Freedom and Accuracy presents fresh information that says further strengthens its belief that the state did not get the best deal in the takeover of Merchant Bank by Fortis. Waliwali SHS closed down after rioting students set the headmaster's bungalow ablaze and vandalized other school property. And in business, Global Credit Rating Agency involved in recent downgrade of Ghana casts doubt over government's ability to meet 2014 deficit targets. There's also sports, showbiz and international news. Stay tuned. Our very first story, a former Deputy Energy Minister K.T. Hammond has handed over to the Judgment Day Commission a stash of documents he says will clear his name in the controversial sale of a drill ship belonging to the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation. The commission, which has been looking into the payments of some judgment debts, is investigating how the Discoverer 511 vessel was sold off and what happened to the proceeds, $3.5 million of which appear untraceable. The MP for Talency, who appeared together with his former boss at the time, Albert Kandapa, have maintained the $3.5 million was paid into government chests after the creditors and lawyers had been settled.
The story so far as presented before the commission is that the Discoverer 511 of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation was sold off in 2001 for $24 million to settle judgment debt claims of French bank Société Générale made against the corporation. Former Energy Minister Albert Kandapa, who said he acted on the advice of the then Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Nana Akufo-Addo, maintains all decisions taken in connection were done in accordance with the law.
I have taken my time to study this case since you started your work. I am convinced, as I sit here, that there was not one single wrong decision that was made in the whole exercise.
There was no single
wrong decision, not by anyone, and I stand by that. I think I should.
So if I give you power, go and deal with my property for me.
My Lord,
then you go on the strength of my power. You come, you don't report to me. You don't give me what was what you derived from what you did. You don't tell me anything, and you tell me it's right.
My Lord, you're going back into the laws. I'm not a lawyer. I say that.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that. Yeah, if anything went wrong, by your evidence, if anything went wrong legally,
I wouldn't know.
Good, you wouldn't know.
As far as he was concerned, the outstanding $3.5 million was paid into an account of the government of Ghana at the Ghana International Bank in London. He, however, could not tell what happened to the monies because he said he was neither the finance minister nor the accountant general at the time. His deputy at the time, K.T. Hammond, then took a stand with more than 15 exhibits he says were to demonstrate the transparency in his dealings. He agreed with his minister at the time that the GNPC was in a total mess when they took office and that neither he nor his minister should be blamed for the disappearance of the $3.5 million.
My Lord, I intend, by associating myself with my minister and the evidence I'm also going to adduce, to demonstrate that the sale was transparently done, was scrupulously done, and there's nothing untoward that happened.
An emotional KT Hammond at a point almost broke down in tears over what he says is the anguish he's had to endure as a result of the case.
There are people in this country who have the information about where the 3.5 went to. Now you worship your God and you pray. God will not let you down. I went to Parliament the other day. When I got in there, I had a document in my pigeonhole. Hand it over to His Lordship. My Lord, this document has every document, every indication, who wrote a letter, who deposited the account where, who did what, the drawings on this account, the whatever. A young man came here from Bank of Ghana and said that he doesn't know, they don't know about anything. They know it in this country. My Lord, it's all here. 65 pages.
Later, in an interview with Joy News, Counsel for the Judgment Debt Commission said the commission would continue its investigation since neither the former minister nor his vice have been able to determine the whereabouts of the $3.5 million.
Tobinko Pharmaceuticals Limited, the company embroiled in a tiff with the Food and Drugs Authority, says its warehouses have been shut down by the Economic and Organized Crime Office. The company at a news conference said several of the warehouses were closed on Friday in the latest phase of a standoff with the regulator. Tobinko is however questioning why Yoko would meddle in the matter and says it will revive a legal suit against the FDA because it has become clear the authority is not interested in settling the matter amicably.
Tobinko's claim is the latest in a tangle with the regulator, sparked by allegations that the pharmaceutical company was dealing in a drug, Gisonate Plus, that had not been approved for the local markets. Though the company said it acknowledged the blunder and reviewed the suppository, the FDA has refused to back off, resulting in a legal suit against the regulator, which was subsequently withdrawn for the matter to be settled amicably. Officials therefore described the shutdown of its warehouses by Yoko as surprising.
They asked us to show us whether we've paid tax. So we've submitted all documents showing that all goods that were paid, were claimed into the country, we had paid the necessary taxes. So nobody has defrauded the state of any funds. And yet Yoko seems to keep conducting investigations. Furthermore, now they said that they are supposed to conduct organized crime. What they are investigating now, is it organized crime? We don't see it as so, not at all. And therefore we think that they are just being used by the FDA in order to harass and to frustrate us.
The company singled out the FDA CEO for frustrating an amicable resolution of the impasse.
The CEO of FDA, Dr. Tobinko, has been using communist inferior tactics to frustrate the efforts of Tobinko in resolving the issues at stake. On several occasions, when Dr. Puni has requested ceasefire from media, he had gone ahead to harass the company in many ways, including the media.
The standoff, meanwhile, is said to be taking a toll on the company's operations. They also refuted claims they had imported drugs into the country after they were banned by the Food and Drugs Authority.
Before this saga, about 30 containers at the port waiting to be cleared. We asked their permission to clear. They said they would not clear or will not permit us to bring it inside the country for various reasons. One of them that the company has been blacklisted. Fine. Then we thought that what can we do? Let's just give the drugs back to the person who brought it to us. Re-export the drugs to India. Would you believe that FDA still refuses to permit us to re-export? This is what we can call Konogukaya.
Market information gathered indicates that certain remote areas in the 3 northern regions and the northern Volta are out of stock of affordable anti-malarials as we speak. Also, there are recent cases of shortages of anti-malarials in some medicinal facilities in the country. These medicines are available in our warehouses, locked by FDA. The shortages can cause an influx of true counterfeit medicines.
Officials say they will revisit their suit after the Food and Drugs Authority, accusing the latter of disrespecting the agreement to settle the matter out of court.
In other news, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust has defended the acquisition of Merchant Bank by Fortis Equity Capital, insisting the deal was the best amongst three they considered. In a statement they said was to set the record straight, it said the purchasing arrangement made by Fortis was transparent as indicated by the transactional advisors, KPMG. Smith said a previous bidder, First Rand Bank of South Africa, was also informed when it reopened the bid for prospective new owners of Merchant Bank after an earlier bid was terminated in June, adding that the date was indeed extended to enable the South African bank to rebid, but did not do so. It named the other two bidders as Asebe Advisors of the United Kingdom and UT Bank. Smith in the statement goes on to explain why it thought the Fortis bid was the best, after which it said it wrote to the Central Bank on September 20, informing it of the board's decision. The Central Bank, it says, also then wrote to Fortis requesting for further information needed for review before approval. Among some of the obligations of Fortis, as stated by Smith in the statement, the new owners of Merchant Bank had to inject an initial fresh capital of 90 million Ghana cedis into the bank, subject to specified conditions and recommendations to change the ownership structure, with Fortis acquiring 90% shares, while Smith and SIC will own 9% and 1% shares respectively. Furthermore, the Financial Intelligence Center and the Securities and Exchange Commission, the statement says, have also been informed to carry out due diligence and appropriateness of the role of Fortis in the transaction. Okay, but there's more on this story. Think tank Center for Freedom and Accuracy says it has in its custody minutes of board meetings revealing new information supporting its claim that the state did not get the best deal in the takeover of Merchant Bank by Fortis Equity Fund. Executive Director Andrea Wuni at a news conference also cited 4 members of the Merchant Bank board. He says have resigned in protest of the decision to sell to Fortis. The claims come on the back of Senate's justification of the Fortis takeover of the bank it owned majority stake.
The sale of Merchant Bank.
In their publication, they said the Financial Intelligence Center has been contracted to carry out due diligence on Fortis. The question then is, if we are yet to conduct due diligence on Fortis, then on what basis did the Bank of Ghana grant its approval? What happens if the Financial Intelligence Center discovers something untoward with Fortis during their investigations? Will the Bank of Ghana reverse its approval? But we at the Center for Freedom and Accuracy are well acquainted with the reasons for the indecent haste with which these approvals were given to Fortis. Fortis managed to get the approvals in a record 2.5 months.
He accused Smith and the Bank of Ghana for contravening Section 5, Act 738 of the Banking Act.
Under Section 5C of the Banking Act 2007, the Bank of Ghana shall not grant license to anybody who wants to start a bank in this country unless the bank is satisfied that, 1, the applicant has the technical knowledge, experience, financial conditions, and history of the applicant. B, the adequacy of the capital structure of the applicant. C, the character of the business and its management. And D, the adequacy of the applicant's accounting control systems and records.
According to him, the board of directors meeting of Merchant Bank a fortnight ago revealed some disagreements among the board members over the sale of the bank.
A board member, Professor Pupulampu, who was in that meeting, indicated that his concern has largely been that whatever transaction is agreed on would deal with the challenges of Merchant Bank with reference to what the bank needs as discussed under the financial performance review of the bank at their meeting on the 22nd of October 2013. Professor Pupulampu said, the purchase price shown in the Fortis document is weak, given the fact that the principal shareholder, Smith, is being diluted or reduced to only 10% when compared to the first round transaction. Professor Pupulampu said the Fortis transaction does not give the bank value.
The Freedom Institute has already sent the matter to court and is hoping its advocacy campaign will further mobilize public opinion against the deal. It is appealing to the public to sign a petition to be circulated in the next few days against the sale of the bank. Fortis and
In other news, President John Dramani Mahama has appointed the former head of the Policy Monitoring Evaluation Unit of the Presidency, Dr. Tony Edu, and 9 others as ambassadors designate. The statement from the Flagstaff House, however, did not indicate the countries they are being posted to. The rest are former Information Minister John Etia, former Eastern Regional Minister Emmanuel Victor Smith, former Northern Regional Minister Moses Mabengba, and former Minister for Youth and Sports, Madam Ukwa Sana Dantua. The list also has former Minister for Tourism Zita Okaikwe, former Acting CEO of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, Sampi Yale, former Branhafu Regional Minister, Kwejonya Meche Mafo, former Secretary to Cabinet, Ben C. Egan, and former Upper West Regional Minister Mahmoud Khalid. We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up. Don't go away. Over 100 students of the Waliwali Senior High School in the West Mampusi district of the Northern Region have fled the school following riots there. 2 students have also been arrested after the headmaster's bungalow was set ablaze and some cars vandalized in the riots.
The students vandalized and set ablaze the headmaster's bungalow, along with properties such as TV sets, clothing, foodstuffs, furniture, water storage tanks, and many others. The school's computer laboratory was also destroyed by the rioting students, who made away with the computers. The rioting students then pelted police officers who arrived at the scene to intervene. Among the cars which had their windscreens vandalized were a patrol vehicle belonging to the Gambaga Waliwali police, as well as that of an officer. Some policemen were also injured in the riot. There are conflicting reports as to what might have sparked the riot, but Sampa Kasimu, a nephew of the headmaster of the school, gave an account of what happened. He said the headmaster is now seeking refuge at the Waliwali Chief's palace.
The demonstration started last night around 9 p.m. The students chased the headmaster out of campus. He passed the night in town. So the police service came this morning to arrest the students, and they chased them out of campus. So when after chasing the police people, they came straight to the house, set the house on fire, and destroyed his property.
The 2 students currently in police custody are said to have been arrested after police from Bolgatanga and Tamale arrived at the scene to support their colleagues. Roadblocks were subsequently mounted by the police, and all buses leaving the town were searched. Some houses in the town were also searched for the rioting students. The school has since been placed under guard.
Well, 2 communities locked in a year-long land dispute in the Talency district of the Upper East region have come to a peaceful resolution of their differences in a process brokered by the District Security Committee and some eminent chiefs in the area. Correspondent Ambassadorial reports the people of Namogligo and Tindingo poured libation and offered a sacrifice at a symbolic ceremony to mark the end of hostilities.
A clash between the 2 communities last year over a disputed piece of farmland left 4 men dead. The District Security Committee has since been engaging leaders of the 2 communities in an effort to settle the disputes. The chief priest of Tindongo at the ceremony poured libation in the presence of the Committee of Eminent Chiefs of the Talency District, the Talency District Chief Executive, elders of the Namogligo and Tindongo communities, and members of the 2 communities. A bull was slaughtered as sacrifice and its blood made to drip into a 4-foot ditch. Members of the 2 feuding communities ate the meat of the bull together and buried the rest of the carcass in the ditch together with the blood, signifying a burial of their differences and the beginning of a peaceful coexistence. Chief Barry Nyankura Manti Sylvester Balaguyetime is member of the Committee of Talency Chiefs who played a role in settling the dispute. He spoke on behalf of the Paramount Chief of Tongo Traditional Area.
We met with the two communities and we advised that there is no benefit in fighting. What we need to do to develop the district, and for that matter our community, is to work together, see each other as a brother or sister, and care for one another. The two communities agreed on that day that they will come out with a date for us to meet, where symbolically a cow will be slaughtered to mark the end of this long-standing dispute between Tendongo and Namolo.
The principal of the Sunyani Nurses Training College is asking the Ministry of Health to, as a matter of urgency, post a public health nursing tutor to the college. Francis Omona Samwa made the appeal in an interview with Joy News at Sunyani.
The Sunyani Nurses Training College, which started operations in 2004 with 40 students, faces enormous challenges. The college has inadequate lecture and demonstration halls and lacks equipment for learning. Even though management of the school has secured a dormitory facility off campus for some male students, accommodation remains a major challenge not only for students but also for members of faculty. These challenges aside, the principal is worried about the absence of a tutor for the public health nursing course, which led to students failing the licensing exam in that field. In a bid to ease the infrastructural burden of the school, the Member of Parliament for Sunyani East, Ameyao Chirme, through the MP's Health Fund, championed the construction of this kitchen and dining hall at a cost of 100,000 Ghana cedis. Prior to its construction, the principal said food for students was prepared some 3 kilometers away at the Sunyani Municipal Hospital.
The females who said they broke behind me. That was where the food was served. But as the population was increasing, and since it became difficult to serve there, so a shed was raised. So when the food is prepared, then it's conveyed and the food is served under the shed, which is just behind me. So you can imagine the scene when it rains. So a lot of challenges.
Meanwhile, the MP for the area has promised to continue lobbying to bring about more development to the college.
It's not about the MP alone taking care of this school. And I can assure the principal and the management of the school that we will continue, or I will continue to lobby for more projects for this school. I asked the Minister of Health a number of questions in Parliament relating to this school in the area of infrastructural development. I will continue to knock on their doors until they open the doors to this school.
Lester Kafuya Jonas report for Joy News.
Now return to our very first story, which had to do with the judgment debt sitting and the sale of the GNPC drill ship. Even though the sitting had a lot of serious moments, we captured some other moments that were not so tense. We thought we should share. Hopefully, you find them heroes.
My haircut, my bow is more than Safina's pioneers. You know Safina's pioneer? Pioneer.
I thought about doing law so that during my pension days, I could have been going to court to put it to them. You probably can see there are some law traits to be in me, but I didn't get the time to do it, so I'm not a lawyer.
Okay. There was the PRO hopping from one place to another. Kandapa. When his own minister calls me Honorable Kandapa, this young man, young enough to be my son, was hopping from places to place, making me look like a criminal. When they said they didn't have... Is this the first time you are experiencing this?
Yes, my lord.
It has been happening.
No, my
people
lord.
Go on radio with documents that other people, those who are supposed to get, haven't seen. But they go there. My good friend, Kwakuba, Mr. Documents. Every document he has it. Where does he get his documents? You see, so
I got up one day and everybody was calling me. Some were even joking the food that I would want to be served with when I'm at Insawem. a friend of mine was that wicked.
So from the evidence,
Tahir.
Is it Tahir Square?
I got slightly anxious when the Tahir Square, but it's Tahir, that's slightly
by the same spelling.
No, my lord.
You go in with the chief executive of VRA, chief executive of whatever, and the minister, you sit in business, he sits in first class. You know, you are there. That is your lot. But of your pedigree, my lord, I wasn't told that you were a minister. I'm hearing it for the first time. I've been told a few things about you, but not a minister bit.
I was a deputy minister and I acted.
Of which ministry, my lord? Not energy, because I haven't seen the photograph there.
Oh, no, not in the state ministry, but for a region.
Oh, okay.
It was a short period. My political stint was for a short period. And I realized that that place was not for me.
Hello, welcome to Joy Business. I'm Abigail Adumakwentri. Now to our very first story. International ratings agency Fitch has cast doubts over government's ability to trim the fiscal deficit in the 2014 fiscal year. Fitch, in a statement today, stated emphatically that it does not think Ghana's 2014 budget statement presented to Parliament last Thursday will effectively address the deterioration in government finances. The 2014 budget targets a deficit of 8.5% of GDP. Following an upward revision of the 2013 deficit to 10.2% against a target of 9% contained in the previous budget. The budget also pushes back a year until 2016 the target deficit of 6% of GDP. Fitch maintains the pace of fiscal consolidation over the next 2 years will be slower than government projects and rather forecasts a deficit slightly above 9% for 2014. According to Fitch, there are still persistent shortfalls in revenue collections over the past 2 years. Well, still on the budget, a principal development consultant of Associate for Change, a Canadian-based research agency, Dr. Leslie Casely-Hayford, says education is not yielding the needed results in the economy, mainly because of the poor quality of basic schools. In an address to parliamentarians, she asked for educational systems, particularly at the primary level, to be critically reformed to ensure its budget efficiency and effectiveness.
Hayford was taking members of parliament through some analysis her outfit had done on matters raised on education in the 2014 budget. For the development consultant, although government has increased its education budget from about 4.5 billion Ghana cedis this year to over 5.8 billion in 2014, its effect would not be felt if the fundamental challenge in the sector is not addressed.
Only through basic education can you actually achieve economic growth, sustained, not only from exports and other things, but grown from within the country. We need a labor force who is well educated, entrepreneurial, and able to take up the opportunities that this particular stage in Ghana's history faces. What we're challenging you as parliamentarians to do is to think about where the resources are going. Is it too much skewed towards tertiary and senior high school when we really haven't achieved quality at primary level?
She, however, commended government for recognizing the need for special educational support for girls to attain higher levels of education and subsidies in deprived areas. Dr. Edward Eboanuma, a lecturer at the University of Ghana who also presented to the House some analysis on the agricultural sector, maintained that the 3.4% growth in the sector could be improved if the sector is modernized.
If indeed we want to boost productivity, then there is the need for research and development, but this should reflect all the stakeholders in the agri sector and not only with respect, let's say, to the production aspect. If you will look into the budget, attention is given to the production aspect, but it is very important that research and development should cut across in terms of processing, in terms of marketing, to boost, that aspect. Modernization of the agri sector is equally very, very key. and that is the attention of government on physical capital.
The post-budget workshop for members of parliament, meanwhile, was to deepen the understanding of the national budget and prepare them for effective discussions and analysis on it beginning November 26.
Well, away from the budget, some staff of the Graphic Group Communications have been demonstrating over what they describe as poor working conditions. The workers who presented a petition to management said management has failed to address their concerns despite several rounds of negotiations.
The workers' main complaint is their remuneration, they say, has to be increased, explaining that the matter has been under discussion for about 6 months now, until management pulled out recently to make way for a third party who the staff have rejected. The workers also complained about transfer allowances.
The issue has to do with our condition of service, which includes our salary. Presently, they intend transferring about 50 of my guys. And if somebody, you are sending the man to maybe Tamale Boga, and you say you cannot pay his accommodation for 150 Ghana cedis per month, and you are sending the person there, how would that person be able to get the room to work? So at the end of the day, you say the person is not working. There were times that management are making Kululu to chop money. Management make Kululu to chop money, which we are aware. Whatever is due, let's give it to us.
The police were brought in to stop the demonstrators because they said the workers had not given them the required notice. The workers, however, managed to present their petition to a representative of management.
And management has already issued a statement on the state of affairs, which union is aware of. And we want to believe that that is why this resolution is coming to us. So, having received it, I'll just send it back to the managing director, and then maybe management, after looking at it, will respond to it.
The workers say they will advise themselves if management does not resume the negotiations in the next 7 days. The workers have meanwhile asked government to intervene.
Well, and that'll be all for business. I'm Abigail Adumakuenchi. Sports is up next.
To chase news making rounds in the world of sports, the local Black Stars beat Burkina Faso 3-2 in the final Group A game this afternoon in the ongoing Gold TV Waffle Cup to qualify for the grand finale of the tournament. Goals from skipper Yaya Mohammed and fullback Goffred Saka sealed the win for the Stars, who finished top of the group with 6 points. Here's the next steps of the game.
That's Goffred Saka's free kick. Flies it straight, and that is a goal. An own goal. He heckled him in the process. There was obstruction. Now it is Ahmed Kabari. 1-1. Just 42 minutes gone, and Burkina Faso have leveled. And they have restored parity here.
No, hardly the goalkeepers miss penalties. It knocked it down. But then it was Theophilus Anaba who was in an offside position, a shade offside.
Right, so from one sweet story to another, the Black Maidens secure their place at next year's FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup after winning 3-2 against Equatorial Guinea in Malabo over the weekend to complete back-to-back wins. The Maidens were making their 4th consecutive appearance at the Mindao.
Ghana's Maidens defeated hosts Equatorial Guinea 3-2 in Malabo over the weekend to complete a 5-2 aggregate win in the ultimate qualifier to the Under-17 Women's World Cup set for Costa Rica next year. Coach Evans Adote's girls ensured their victory in Malabo, courtesy a brace from Jane Ayem with Ernestina Abambela grabbing the other goal. The Black Maidens, who will be making their 4th straight appearance at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, won the first leg encounter by 2-0 in Accra a fortnight ago. Ghana's Maidens had an impressive outing when they made their 3rd successive appearance at the 2012 World Cup in Azerbaijan, taking home the bronze medal. Ghana, Nigeria and Zambia now complete a list of 3 African representatives for the 16-team tournament set for March 15 to April 5 next year.
On the local front, though, Accra Hearts have appointed Mohamed Polo as new head coach. The former Hearts player steps in for Coach Duncan, who was shown the exit after misapprehension with the club's management.
Legend Mohamed Ahmed Polo has been handed the role as head coach of Accra Hearts in the medium-term deal. The Phobians are on the look for a successor to David Duncan, who was relieved of his duties early this month but have decided to put the ex-footballer, who holds a CAF License B certificate, in charge for the time being as the club continues to search for a permanent gaffer. Contrary to wide reports that Polo is being contracted till the end of the season, Hearts management sources say it's not the case. The dribbling magician has been taxed to stabilize the fortunes of the club until further notice. Mohamed Polo is back at a club that brought him to fame as a footballer in the early 70s through to the 80s. This time, he has been given the opportunity to fulfill his long wish of returning to the club as a coach when the league resumes on December 1. His first stint with the club as head coach in the mid-90s was cut short after some misapprehension with the then management.
All right, so time to talk about Season 7 of the Joy Sports Invitational. It was very interesting on the day. Multimedia failed to win trophies, but for a particular reason. We have to just take our time and explain why we failed to do that. And because we don't want to host necessarily win, we have to understand that if that happens, it will not be too fair, to the other company. So we decided, because we were in fantastic form for this particular competition. Everybody saw that at the grounds. Israel was there, a number of press-ups. In the end, the CEO, Achikwam, came in and said, "Guy, you are too fired up and you don't need to play."
And I understood. I was a bit disappointed, though, but I just understood. I mean, because I could understand that we couldn't host a competition like this and win. Otherwise, we would end up winning. Because Multimedia is a huge organization. We have hundreds of employees, and if we're looking for talent, there's an abundance of talent.
And even when we tried to lose, you see, we went all the way to the semi-finals and we played very well. We decided to lose on penalties. So yes, we understand there was no trophy for Multimedia. There you have some of the highlights in the background. It was very interesting. A couple of things to look out for, how the pot-bellied, chief executive officers were doing so well. We talk about the chief executive officer of Safoda Ventures, Adolfo J, converting 3.
He was one guy I was really impressed with, because this was a chief executive who knew how to take penalty kicks, and he did it so well. Except that in the end, eventually,
he missed the penalty, crucial
penalty.
That's right.
He did great. He did great.
And then you talk about the other games or the team spirit,
that CEO, he could end up playing for under 17 or something.
I told him, I asked him, well, perhaps you should forget about it and get into some good football. So as you see it, ABL as well managed to win volleyball. They also went ahead to win the basketball competition. And then UniCredit, who composed a song for Multimedia. And you know what happened to them? We beat them. In their song, they said, Multimedia boys are bre. At the end, we showed them that UniCredit boys, all my bre. So it was very, very interesting. And we're looking ahead to Season 8 of the Joy Sports Invitational, definitely. All right, so that's it. And that'll be all for sports. My name is George Adi Jr. Israelite will join us with international news.
International news after this.
Have a good night.
All right.
Sports was brought to you in association with
Kumasi was thrown into a frenzy this weekend when Adom TV's festival train made a stopover in the Garden City during the climax of the Akwasidai Festival. Being the last stop for the festival train, the party was one that will be remembered for a long time.
The Jubilee Park in Kumasi was packed with a sea of heads as music lovers converged for the mega bash organized by Multi TV's Adom channel. The performances were charged with hip life duo Prayer, who teamed up with Castro the Destroyer. The king of the streets, Kwakese, put up a tag team performance with his kid brother, Buddha. Sexy female dancehall artist, Kaki, was also at her usual best. You can bet the Adom TV Festival train will make a stopover soon at your festival with all the goodies on board.
Over 30,000 music lovers thronged the Ohinijan Stadium last Saturday night to party with the national award-winning R&B artist Akon at the Big Eruption concert. Akon was joined by American hip-hop act Big Sean, Nigeria's Wizkid, and Ghanaian dancehall act Samini and Shatta Wale.
The Ohinijan Sports Stadium was the place to be for all music lovers. It was such a sight to behold at the stadium last Saturday night. The moment many Ghanaians obviously waited for were the performances of Samini, the CEO, and the self-acclaimed dancehall king Shatta Wale, who made a dramatic entry but almost got stuck in the air. Eventually, he was assisted out and went on with his performance. Well, fans could not wait to judge.
I just came late, but when I came, Shatta Wale was just moving around. I said, yes, things were just power.
It was electrifying. You saw Samini's show. You can see that he has a class. He has his seat already. Shatta was just moving around on stage, and it's an international show. You saw this a big show and a big stage, so you don't have to mess around. You don't have to walk around.
Akon, the headlining artist, wowed the crowd with his talent stagecraft, making sure all his fans had a touch of him, whilst in the oxygen-filled balloon. At the end of his performance, he again dived into the crowd, who caught him and passed him back onto stage.
And that's it for Showbiz.
Showbiz was brought to you by Airtel.
Right, before we go, the World Cup trophy, the original World Cup trophy is in Ghana, and it's going to be in Ghana for about 2 days. It's going to make a tour, and you have to just make a date with it, make sure you get to see it. I'm not sure you're going to get the opportunity to touch it, but you can get to see it. I think it's going to be at the Accra International Conference Center, but that's the plane that brought it. It arrived here in Ghana today, and it's going to be here today and again tomorrow. Okay, before we go, a quick run through our top stories. Former Deputy Energy Minister Katie Hammond has made an emotional appearance before the Judgment Debt Commission with documents he says will clear his name in the case of the missing $3.5 million from the GMPC drill ship sale saga. Pharmaceutical company Tobinko has questioned the closure of its warehouses by the Economic and Organized Crime Office in the latest phase in its standoff with the Food and Drugs Authority. Center for Freedom and Accuracy has presented fresh information. It says further strengthens its belief that the state did not get the best deal in this takeover of the Merchant Bank by Fortis. Waliwali SH has closed down after rioting students set the headmaster's bungalow ablaze and vandalized other school property. And Global Credit Rating Agency, involved in recent downgrade of Ghana, cast doubts over government's ability to meet 2014 deficit targets. And that'll be all for the bulletin. My name is Israel. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com.